I've said it a million times. Moe Norman was a genius when it came to ball striking. And what he did, people saw as idiosyncratic. I didn't look at it that way. I looked at everything that Moe was doing. There was a reason behind it, a biomechanical reason that made striking the ball easier. We're going to talk about today is he placed the club behind the ball a few inches, sometimes almost a foot with a driver. We're going to talk about that and how that simplified the swing and made impact more consistent and easier. Today we're going to talk about shaft lean, and it's actually kind of a myth of this shaft lean thing because people get into this idea that we have to somehow get the hands leading into impact. The hands do need to lead into impact, but it's how we get them to lead into impact. This is a 7-iron I'm holding in my hand. It is designed to be hit with the handle in front of the club face with some lean to the shaft, whereas a driver will have less than that, but this is designed to have the hands forward. But how we get those hands forward is where people get confused because they think you start like this, and this is conventional golf as always tends to cause this problem because they start the club right behind the golf ball. You'll watch a conventional golfers, they start right behind the ball, and then at impact, you'll see them get into a nice lean position. So the question becomes, we have all this stuff going on, but watch Moe Norman for a minute. And if you look what Moe did, you see him place the club behind the golf ball. You see him sometimes place it 6, 8 inches behind the golf ball, sometimes 10 inches, and then he still leans the shaft into impact, still takes a nice divot, compresses the golf ball. And people are always asking me, why did Moe place the club so far behind the ball? He was placing it where you're going to be at impact, simplifying the setup, which simplifies impact. Watch this. The difference between impact, and you're looking at me from this angle, the face-on angle. The difference between address and impact is nothing more than rotation. Watch this. So instead of doing like this, where most people start the club, Moe did this. He put the club well behind the golf ball. All I'm going to do is rotate my body, and look, I'm right at impact, a little bit of rotation. So he's placing it with lean already into impact. See, he found out that since I gotta have the hands leading anyway, and that's why I talk about how at address, there's this relationship to your lead side. That's because I always have this relationship. Moe always figured this out. Why was Moe such a great ball striker? Because he never lost his club to body, the impact relationship throughout the entire swing motion. Let me kind of explain that because it has a lot to do with what we're talking about with shaft lean. If you put the club behind the ball like this is not where you're going to impact. You're going to impact like this. You're going to have to somehow change the way this club is positioned at impact. So you're going to take the club back and you're going to have to somewhere in the swing, rotate enough to get the hands leading. You'll figure it out, like conventional golfers figure that out. They figure out how to manipulate the shaft somewhere in the motion to get the hands in front of the golf ball in the proper rotation. Moe simplified it. That's why I talk, when you watch him hit a golf ball, I just saw all this genius stuff going on. Instead of starting the club here, he put it back here because now it made the backswing easier and made the relationship return without less movement. Moe would always say, I have less movement, less motion, less moving parts. Well, if I start here, I have a problem. He'd say, I take the club outside. My hands go outside. He'd take it back way outside in the backswing. He talked about that a lot with me, that he couldn't take the club back when he started the club behind the ball. Matter of fact, one day I was hitting balls with him and I turned and I put the club next to the ball and I said, hit one from there. And he goes, I can't, because his hands didn't line up with the club correctly. When I take the club back, like Moe here, and I create this nice relationship, notice this alignment, the club going to my lead side, notice that everything goes back together, still connected to my lead side. There's a connection of the lead side to my body. And look, the club naturally leans. With this connection, I might hinge the hands, but I still have that connection as long as I get the hands to the lead side. So I start with them like Moe did to the lead side. And look, the club gets placed behind the ball. It's not here, it's behind the ball. And I take the club back. All I gotta do is turn, and it comes right back down to where I want it. It looks like this. It's nothing more than a turn. If I want to lean that shaft, I take the club back, I start it back here, take it back, and just turn. And the club naturally compresses the ball. So, if you don't take a divot, if you struggle taking a divot, it's because the handle is not getting in the relationship with the body in the right rotation. So you under-rotate, for example, like the handle's back here, or you start the club here and you take it outside and you can't get the hands to go forward. It's a rotational club to body problem. Moe solved it at address. So watch this. Don't start it here. Create these alignments. Moe said I have straight lines. These straight lines are actually where the club is lined up with the lead side of the body. And now I can take the club back, and all I gotta do is bring it right back down and the hands will lead. Don't have to try, just make sure you turn. Hands ahead, club to body relationship, Stays, maintains, leverage, rotates back, hands lead, release the club. The club to body relationship is established because Moe kept it the entire time, from address right here, not here, back, and then to impact. Again, watch Moe hit golf balls, look at my videos on my channel, study my book, The Intelligent Golf Swing. Everything Moe did, from address to what I just showed you at impact, where he set up in the easiest way to compress the ball at impact, everything's related to Moe Norman's simple single plane swing. There's a reason behind everything he did. Hope that helps you understand why Moe had shaft lean without really trying, and that's why he placed the club so far behind the ball. If you want to learn more about the single plane swing, click the bell icon, give me a thumbs up. I'll see you in the next video.